Hey everybody, glad to have you with us. Greg's on his way home to help us with the menu tonight, so it's just me for right now. We have a special treat for you tonight. We're going to make pan-seared sea bass, Chilean sea bass, along with my favorite green beans and Brussels sprouts. So let's get started. What I've got is about 3 cups of Brussels sprouts. Now what we're doing with these is these have already been washed and destemmed, except for a few I want to show you. When we are going over our Brussels sprouts, let's take a look at the outside edges. If any of them are brown or wilted, go ahead and pull them off. We don't need them. And then we're simply going to trim the excess root off. You don't want a whole lot of root showing there, in my opinion, or if it's brown, it's very unattractive. You don't want it. So give those just a little bit of a shave. You know, just a little tiny minutia of a root, maybe a couple of eighths of an inch is really all I care to. Then cut them in half. And then, as you've always heard, people before, they always say make an X in the bottom of the root if you're cooking them whole so that they'll cook. For those of you who aren't big cooks, which is exactly the folks that I want to talk to, let me show you. Don't know if you can see that, but there's a really high root in there, and I want to make sure we get all of that cooked. So I go ahead and cut all the way up into it. You can see me doing that there. Cut all the way up into the root and separate it. That's really dense, it's tough, coarse, so we want to make sure that cooks just as well as the nice, fresh, leafy outer part of the Brussels sprouts. So once we have all that done, what we're going to do is get about a tablespoon olive oil, vegetable oil. When that heats up, we're going to add the sprouts to the oil. Then we're going to fill the pan with about enough water to come up halfway up the Brussels sprouts. Put a lid on it and let it cook all the way down. Okay, it looks like our heat is ready to go. Our oil is hot. Go ahead and put those in. Now, I caution you anytime that you're wanting to brown anything in a skillet, make sure it's dry. So that's why I washed those well ahead of time and made sure they were dry before we started. This is also not the time to add salt because that's going to pull the moisture out and you're going to end up with a really mushy product at the end. So let's hold off on any type of seasoning at the moment. Now, this really couldn't be something more simple. Going to add our water. I put about a cup and a half. Put a lid on it and simply let it steam all the way down. Now when this is cooked all the way down, there's no liquid left. We're going to come back and finish it off. While that's going, let's get to work on our green beans. 2 ways to eat green beans. One is get a fresh haricot vert type green bean from France, saute it in some olive oil, or do like your grandma did, put it in a pressure cooker with some chicken fat and just steam or pressure cooker the heck out of it, and then they're pretty good that way too. But I really like to saute my green beans. So what I have is these very nice, very thin, long green beans. So let's get started on those. What we're going to need for the green beans, for your green beans, about 2 tablespoons chopped parsley, 2 to 3 teaspoons of lemon juice, fresh if you got it, some room temperature soft butter, and salt and pepper. First things we did was to blanch the green beans in boiling water for about 2 to 3 minutes. Get them to cook. They came up very fresh, very crisp, a beautiful green color. Then what we're going to do is in the saute pan, we're going to evaporate that water and then slowly add in our soft butter. You can hear that sizzle? At least I hope you can. Now the The main point right now in the green bean cooking process is to make sure that we're going to dry these green beans of any of the residual water. That's probably best done with tossing it, not stirring it. Okay, we can hear those green beans cooking. Getting rid of that water, it's bubbling off and sizzling as we go here. Okay, at this point in our green beans, they're pretty dry. I'm hearing a lot of sizzling. I'm looking in the pan. There's not a lot of moisture there. There's just a little bit of that olive oil I'll put in it first. Now what we're going to want to do at this point is alternating a little bit of butter at a time, and then with our lemon juice, add that to our green beans. Now, the French call this anglaise. Anytime we end up with a buttered cream sauce, the French like to blame that on the English and call it anglaise. So we're going to have a little bit of anglaise. You'll also notice I'm doing this on an incredibly high heat, or as high as I can get my stove. A little bit of lemon juice. A bit more lemon juice. A couple more spots of butter. Just about done there. Gonna need some salt. And pepper. Now, the butter is melted. It's made a nice, beautiful sauce with our lemon juice and parsley. All right, we are done. In our nice little bowl. Now, if you like, you can. If you're going to serve it immediately, go ahead and put a few more sprigs of parsley around, maybe a lemon wedge to garnish it with, and take it straight out to the table. Okay. Okay, our Brussels sprouts are dry at this point. Let me have you take a look at that. Not any liquid left. The color has turned a beautiful green. So what we're going to do, and I can do that right off the heat here, is go ahead and add in 2 to 3 tablespoons of butter and give that a nice swirl. Now, when the butter is completely melted, what we're going to do is add, I don't know how much Brussels sprouts you're cooking, 2 to 3 tablespoons of sugar, sprinkle it right on top, along with some chopped walnuts. Now, what this is going to do is make a beautiful caramelization around these Brussels sprouts. Now, turn the heat down on this to about medium-low, and just keep an eye on it, stir it frequently, and they're going to start browning up beautifully, making a nice, like I said, caramely candy coating around these Brussels sprouts. And even your finickiest of kids is going to want to eat it at this point. Greg has graciously agreed to come in and cook the main course for this evening. It's his specialty, pan-seared sea bass. Come on in, Greg. Say hi to everybody.
Hello.
So what do we got here, Greg? Pound Chilean sea bass. And first thing we're going to do is get it ready for our, let's see, if I remember correctly, you salt and peppered the sea bass. Just
lightly season it.
And then the other thing that we have going for you is saffron. So a little bit of saffron goes a long way. So we're just going to sprinkle a little saffron over the top. We have, what? 4 sprigs?
About 4 sprigs of fresh thyme.
Yep. Now, Greg, do you put all this on one side or pretty much all on the top?
Yeah, pretty much.
And then we saute it top side down first?
Yeah.
Mush it. All right. Now, what do you got going on in the saute pan?
I've got a tablespoon of olive oil and a tablespoon of butter heated.
Our recommendation is medium high to high heat, depending on your stove. And then, how long are we going to cook these, Greg?
Probably about 4 to 5 minutes on each side, just depending on how thick the fillets are.
Ooh, hear that pop? That's actually good. Now, don't fuss, don't lust, let it cook. It's not going to burn. You're not going to overdo it. Looks like I got a great caramelization on our Brussels sprouts. Let me show you what that looks like.
Okay, we're ready to flip them. It's been about 5 minutes. I've checked them.
Oh, Greg, that was...
We'll let that go for another 4 to 5 minutes.
All right, we're just about done cooking the fish, it looks like, right? So let me talk a little bit about the secret ingredient, vermouth. Gotta have it for this fish. So what are we doing, Greg? We're gonna
Take the fish fillets out and plate them, and then I'm going to deglaze the pan with about a 1/3 cup of the vermouth. Then I'm going to let it reduce down to about half. Then at the very end, add another tablespoon of butter. Mix that in until it's melted.
I think what we find works best is to let the temperature of the reduction come down a little bit, take it off heat for about a minute before we add in our butter so that we make a nice sheen to the glaze. I can't wait. I'm simply dying to tear into it. Wait, ready for you, sir?
All right.
Show everybody how pretty that looks.
It's hard to see.
Uh-oh, should we do that?
Nope.
Oh my gosh. Look at that. Lovely already. Unless you don't like your eyebrows, go ahead and add in our vermouth. Deglaze the pan with it. Vermouth, and the reason we're using it actually has a nice nutty smell and nice nutty aroma you're going to notice when you start doing the reduction there, and that's going to go great over the sea bass. And when it stops sizzling like that and reduces down just a tad,
And just a little bit of butter. Doesn't need a whole lot.
right? Now, while he's doing that, let's talk about wine pairing. Now, if I had my druthers, what I would truly suggest to you here is stay away from Chardonnay. So really go out on a limb here and serve this with a Pinot Noir, which is what Greg and I have been drinking all night long, you may have noticed. That sauce looks great. That butter added a beautiful, nice sheen on top. And we're going to pour that right over top of the fish. Now, if you want a white wine, try a Chenin Blanc. Looks awesome.
And that's all there is to it.
What do we always say? Kiss your mama.
Kiss your mouth.
Hope you guys enjoy.